Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Newcastle City Council special meeting and regular meeting. City Council, the time is 6 p.m. City Council will recess to an executive session for approximately 60 minutes to review the performance of a public employee pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101G. Executive sessions are closed to the public pursuant to state law. Expected time would be at 7 p.m. to return. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Newcastle City Council meeting, regular meeting for Tuesday, August 15. City Council has just returned from executive session. The executive session lasted approximately 40 minutes. We adjourned at 6:40. No final action was taken during executive session, and it is now 7 p.m. My name is Mayor Linda Newing. I'm calling this meeting to order. And this is a public meeting. It is being recorded and may be viewed later on the city's YouTube channel. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, we'll get right into our agenda. City Clerk Westman, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Griffin.
Here.
Councilmember Villasenor.
Here.
Councilmember Lacotia.
Here.
Councilmember Charbonneau. Councilmember Clark. Deputy Mayor Sherlock.
Here.
And Mayor Newing.
Here.
All here and present.
Thank you. We do have a quorum of 7 tonight. Welcome, everyone. So is there any objection to approving the final agenda as presented? All right. Seeing none, please show the agenda approved as presented. Public comment. I'm sorry. Thank you. All right. This is our first public comment period. Each member who would like to speak, please come to the podium, state your name and place of residence, not your physical address, just a neighborhood. And then you will have 3 minutes to speak. We will hold promptly to that 3 minutes. There is a timer on the podium. And when you hear that buzzer, that will be your incentive to wrap up. City Attorney Chambers, I believe you have a couple of things for us.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, the city's in election season, and I've been asked to provide comments regarding the state of the law as it relates to the use of public facilities and election campaigns. In short, state law RCW 42.17A.555 prohibits the use of public facilities to assist a campaign for election of any person to office or to support or oppose a ballot proposition. The Public Disclosure Commission is the state agency with jurisdiction to enforce this statute. The Public Disclosure Commission interprets the statute very broadly to include a prohibition on using the public comment period during an agency's public meeting for these purposes. This applies to council member comments during a public meeting as well. To avoid any potential for violations of the statute, please refrain from making comments that support or oppose a candidate for office or a ballot measure. Please have your comments address issues relating to city business or city functions, not campaign or election issues. This includes references to election or campaign materials such as letters, flyers, or similar communications. The city thanks you for keeping your remarks focused on city issues.
Thank you, City Attorney Chambers. Okay, with that, we'll open up the public comment for those who are in our audience tonight. First on the list is Jason Jordan, I believe it is.
Here. My name is Jason Jordan, and I just moved to Castle Creek neighborhood about a year and a half ago. I've been busy lately, and about the last 8 months, I've been wanting to approach the authorities about every way to protect the interests of the future of Newcastle in ways that maybe aren't so holistic or organic to a council. It takes witnesses sometimes to correct or create an agenda based on a history that's going to end up being the future identity of a community. So I am bringing news of development change that maybe are considerations that the city of Newcastle needs to consider. I believe that the properties that are being developed from 405 up to Coal Creek Parkway are all Gary Ridgway victim properties. I'm a Gary Ridgway survivor. He stalked me for 40 years. No. His friend stalked me for 40 years. He stalked me from the age of 10 to when he was arrested. I was the reason why the first 4 bodies were discovered in the Green River. I walked across, I'm sorry, people, I'm sorry. I walked across his body mortuary while he was in a grave committing necrophilia. I smashed the last body as I exited the first 4 grave sites. He chased me to the creek, and then he spent the next years doing all kinds of strange behavior that he admitted to upon arrest and everything. It's a big break in the case. It's going to solve everything. He flipped 2 of my friends. They're still out there. I have to consider safety, but right now I want to focus on the bodies, 51 through 71, that he said that police don't know anything about. He thought I was never going to surface. So now I'm here to say, haha, he spoke. Now we need to go look from Coal Creek Parkway all the way down the ravine for 51 to 70. I know 1 through 4 came from there. Everything else that was pulled out and laid by the airport with rocks in them was because he took them from Coal Creek and from Newcastle and made them so they wouldn't burp in cars. They were buying cars at swap meets. They were becoming friends. They tried to kill me in many different ways. They took me to apartments, tried to get me to go to sleep. Gary was coming off the Ave, asking if I was ready to die yet. He wanted to own my corpse. He worked right next to my dad at Kenworth for 5 years. It's a huge, huge, huge conspiracy. It's going to change everything. It's nothing like this has ever happened. It's going to set precedent and law, and it starts right here in Newcastle. The safety of the trails, though, are what you need to think about. You guys need to harden your targets, your soft targets, because the people that were teamed up with him got kicked out of every other establishment throughout school districts, and they're mean and aggressive, and they're secretive, and they have means. And I want to go to the FBI. I have people that care can contact me. If you guys take it, the last woman said, make sure your contact information is put out there, but I'm not going to put it live. Appreciate it. I'm glad I turned on my microphone.
Thank you. Christina, our city clerk, please.
Hi there. My name's Christina Aurelier. I'm a business owner of Newcastle, located in the Newcastle Commons. I'm here tonight to request that the council members who support the small business community of Newcastle call a motion at tonight's meeting to direct the city manager, Mr. Pingle, to disperse the remaining funds that have been allocated to small business applicants of Newcastle. I spoke at the council meeting in late June this year, shortly after the initial disbursement, and the allocated funds for Newcastle, which was in $400,000, not all of them were dispersed. I think at this point, speaking to you guys, we're past the point of arguing about whether or not the funds are for the businesses. They've been voted on, they've been allocated, so a remainder of them remain. So in June, I was told after that allocation and disbursement that the reason that all of the funds were not allocated was because the city didn't have as many applicants as they thought they would. So that seems like kind of an irrelevant metric to reason on dispersing all of the funds. I think if 23 businesses applied, that's a voice. That's a voice of 23 businesses who are saying, yes, we are deserving and entitled to these funds, which exist because of the pandemic. And if you check the federal government's website, do your fact checking, you will see that, yes, the businesses for economic relief are on that list with the addition of all the other things that are on the list what the ARPA funds are allocated or they're there for. After a few weeks, I just waited to see, what would happen, kind of checked in some meetings. Then I emailed Manager Pingle and Mayor Newing last week to check in on the progress. And Mayor Newing responded, and so did Scott Pingle. They said that Scott said that he was waiting on the city for further direction. So I think that the presentation of a solution to disperse the remainder of the funds is for one of the council members to call a motion to either bring it up at a next council meeting or just do the thing. you know, you did it at one time, you can do it again. If you're using your same structure to make the decisions on how the funds are allocated, do that again and follow through. I think it's pretty straightforward. It seems very simple. I understand that sometimes things can be tedious and ongoing, so that's, you know, not a problem. But I do think that even though I'm one voice tonight, I speak for the 23 applicants and the city businesses that are asking for the city to come to their economic relief with the ARPA funds. And your actions will back up your words of support. So if you've spoken as a council member to support small businesses, please let your actions back that up. We're listening, we're watching. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Carol.
Hi, Carol Simpson. I live in the Vineyard neighborhood. And I have to say, I've really joined the old people. I go to the store, I buy stuff, and I go, oh my God, when did it get to be that expensive? Surprise, surprise. You know, pack of gum used to be 5 cents, people. So I'm looking at the agenda bill, 2351, vehicle replacement, and I see you're going to purchase a new truck for, drum roll please, $107,691. Holy mackerel, when did trucks start to cost that much? So really quickly, I did the math. I'm not great at math, so please check, Councilmember Griffin. The truck is 15 years old. The new purchase price, if you do the math, that's 34% more than the original purchase price in 2008. Divided by 15 years, I guess that's 2.3% interest per year, which seems pretty good, except I thought we had about 10% inflation last year. So I ask you, have you really done the math on your entire list of city equipment? Have you really done the math and figured in inflation in replacing roads, parks, trails, the list of projects in your project list? When was the last time the city staff presented a thorough listing of all your vehicles, when they were purchased, what was the purchase price, what vehicle they are, what their use is, when they plan to replace them, how much they think it's going to cost? Because I don't like surprises. As a council member, I didn't like to be suddenly shown in the budget, we're going to replace a vehicle next year. Well, why? Show me the numbers. Show me your list of vehicles. Show me your plan. When was the last time you saw that? This goes to Equipment Replacement Fund, which is general fund money. This is your budget. This is the big line items. This is what we argue about every year. So ask your staff to present that. And then think about inflation. How much money is in your cumulative reserve fund? In 2008, the same time this vehicle was purchased, if I recollect correctly, and I'm not perfect, please check my numbers. I'm going off the top of my head and I have a terrible memory. I have to have everything written down. It might have been $1.5 million. Has that increased 34% since 2008, if that's what inflation has been since 2008? Do you have 34% more funds in your cumulative reserve fund for emergencies? Because personally, I really think that fund is an emergency fund. If we have a disaster, we could burn down just as easily as Hawaii, people. We can have a fire, we can have a flood, we can have an earthquake, we could have a prolonged electrical outage. How much money do we need to have in reserve to take care of an emergency? Thanks.
Thank you. Director Bronze, do we have anybody virtually tonight? All right, thank you. I will close the public comment. All right, we have no ceremonial presentations. Council comment. Councilmember Clark, what do you have for us?
Just an announcement. I think everybody's aware that starting this Friday through Monday morning, 405 will be closed from exit 5 to exit 10, which means, and the state is actually telling people to use Coal Creek as an alternative. So it's going to be nuts out here on Coal Creek all weekend probably. So just be prepared for that. So that's all.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Griffin, what do you have for us? Councilmember Charbonneau?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank the staff, City Manager Pinkel, and the sort of folks I had who took the time out of their day to meet with a student I was mentoring from the University of Washington Evans School of Public Policy. It was a really meaningful experience, and it was cool to showcase Newcastle, and just it's been great to see people out at summer events and talk with folks and get feedback that way and just learn what is on folks' mind.
Councilmember Lakota.
Thank you. Today, 15th August, is India's Independence Day, and we've completed 76 years of independence. So I just want to wish my fellow Indians and India happy Independence Day. Thank you.
Councilmember Villasenor.
Thank you. I too am concerned about the traffic this weekend, so hopefully everyone plans ahead and is able to stay off Cold Creek Parkway as much as they can. It will be unpleasant for sure. I hope everyone's enjoying summer events. I've had a chance to take part. It's always wonderful to see the community come together and enjoy some music in the park, and hopefully people are looking forward to Newcastle days as well. It is hot out, so I always like to encourage people, if you have neighbors without air conditioning, especially older people in our community, I hope you'll check on them, your neighbors, give them the support they need. There are a lot of resources online that can direct people to cooling centers and other strategies in order to stay cool. So hopefully people are staying healthy out there. I did want to make one comment about something on our consent agenda. It's 9.5. It's the the project acceptance of the slurry seal. I want to ensure people that even though we are accepting the project, that doesn't mean we are taking our eye off the ball in terms of actions related to the slurry seal. If this is more of a sort of a procedural acceptance. If you read it, you'll see that there's been some action taken with regard to the amount we paid for that slurry seal. I believe we did get discounts due to the quality of it. We are still pursuing a longer-term solution, so I just want people to know that that's happening. So thank you very much.
All right. Deputy Mayor Sherlock.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm also concerned about the 405 closure. I did speak with City Manager Pingle yesterday and just was happy that he confirmed that many of our staff are speaking with surrounding communities and WashDOT and taking whatever precautions they can. The biggest thing I think that we can do to help is just talk to people, share it with your neighbors and your community online or in person, because when people know that stuff is happening, they tend to avoid it as much as they can. So, but I appreciate all the staff that's putting in the work to try to mitigate that as much as we can. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up on our agenda is a very exciting presentation from the King County Sheriff's Office. And we will have a demonstration and get some information about body-worn cameras. Welcome, Deputy Miller.
This project fell to me in training because it touches everyone within the Sheriff's Office. We selected the Axon AB3 body camera to be part of our program and part of the Axon products that we have here at the Sheriff's Office. That encompasses the City of Newcastle and all of our other contract partners. With that, the AB3 is not the newest camera, but it is a very good camera, very robust, has a 146-degree field of view, has 4 microphones. It runs video in approximately the same frame rate to approximate human vision. And it operates much the same as the human eye in low light. So it gives us a very good picture of what someone was seeing at the time. The camera itself has about 12 hours of standby time, or on time, if you will, for our deputies. It can run about 6 hours of video in the configuration that we have it in now. Every deputy that's being issued a camera is also being issued a docking station for home. So they'll be able to charge it at home and download it at home. All of our facilities are being set up with equipment so deputies will be able to dock it and download it home. In addition to this, the body camera, Fleet 3 in-car video is coming. We've had a little bit of a slowdown in getting Fleet 3 out because there's no new cars available. We've been unable to purchase cars or only purchase a few cars for a very long time. And it doesn't make sense for us to put a camera system in a car that we're going to retire in a year or 6 months. Not very cost effective. So a lot of the newer vehicles and low mileage vehicles you'll see coming out with Fleet. So if your city is due to get any of the new police cars, they will have the Fleet 3 camera. That camera, this camera, and all the other Axon products all talk to each other. And currently how our cameras are configured, if I were to turn on my body camera and someone else is within basically Bluetooth proximity who has an Axon product, their camera or their Fleet camera will come on. So they're all linked. With this camera, you can see the flashing green light. That's telling us it's in standby mode. It's ready to record. When we give it 2 good pushes of the button, oh, it should go into record mode. Come on. My test camera is being difficult today. Nope. There we go. Okay, you notice I lifted my taser out of the holster. Camera is now running. You heard it beep. You now see the red lights. That is called Signal. We are switching over to the new taser. With the new taser, it talks to the Axon Body 3 camera. The camera itself should come on when my taser comes out, if I arm my taser or if I fire my taser. It will also mark in the video where all of those things occurred. And any of the other Axon products that were within range will all talk to each other. So if I'm in the room with 3 other deputies who have the body camera on and I were to pull my taser out, it will turn all of our cameras on. It would also turn our Fleet video on. We're currently using evidence.com, an Axon product, to manage all of the video we're taking. Just to give you some rough numbers, as of me sitting in the back there, I checked and we have 31,947 body-worn camera videos since March. Give you an idea of the scope of the project and how much video is out there. Currently, I have 179 body-worn cameras in service within the Sheriff's Office, and I'm going to add another 35 this weekend, so it'll get us up around 215 cameras in service. We're currently phasing in the southeast precinct of the Sheriff's Office for cameras. Contract City of Newcastle falls within that precinct, and you will start seeing all your officers equipped with them. You may have 1 or 2 in the city right now, but you're going to see a lot more. Everybody should have them within the next month or so here. With that, I want to kind of pass the camera around, let you guys see it, and then answer any questions you may have about the cameras, the camera system, the training that goes on, any of that.
Thank you, Captain Miller. Any questions for the captain?
Oh, wow. No questions.
I'm just fascinated. In fact, that camera looks a little bit bulky to what I've seen. Is it heavier? Is it just more dependable?
It's a little larger than the AB2 camera. It's about the same size as the AB4, their newest. This camera is about par with most body cameras that we see out there in service now. Axon seems to be kind of cornering the market. They appear to be the industry standard in the nation and in the world with body cameras. They have customers worldwide. We've had a pretty good relationship with Axon. We actually field tested the TASER 10 for them. We were one of about a dozen agencies worldwide that trialed that new TASER. With body cameras, the beauty of the body camera is 99% of the time, it's going to show the good work that our people do every day, right? It's going to show what our deputies actually do, and it's going to show that. The 1% of the time, where we're not seeing good work, it gives us the opportunity to improve, right? And improving that 1% makes my department a lot stronger. It does us a lot better service. So this project is huge. It touches a personal note to me. In 2017, I was involved in an officer-involved shooting. I would have loved to have had a body camera because it takes all the questions away. Part of why I have some passion for this project, and have been selected to get it out. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. I know this is like a topic that we've been, it's coming for quite a long time. I was just curious, and I'll know we haven't gotten this technology yet. What is the feedback you've received from officers that have been wearing these?
Yeah, so far there's been a lot of positive feedback from the officers. Most of them are really wanting the camera. And they want the camera because imagine being able to carry an independent witness with you everywhere you go as to what you did at work. It eliminates a lot of our complaints. Right now, we have an expedited process for getting rid of complaints that are erroneous. And we see a lot of unfounded complaints come in, which would have tied us up in investigation and interviews. Now we can view the body camera footage and we can pretty much eliminate most of those complaints. So our individual deputies really love it. They're having some trouble with, this is a lifestyle change, right? Learning how to turn on the camera and how to operate it, how to manage the video within evidence.com, and put the camera in standby mode when they go to the restroom, so that if I were to turn my camera on, theirs doesn't come on in the restroom, right? So there's a lot of those hurdles that we've had to get over. There's a lot of infrastructure things with getting the bandwidth and internet within all the facilities of the sheriff's office to really be able to bring this online. Yes, sir.
Councilmember Clark.
Thanks, Captain. Just out of curiosity, so they have it on, what are the times that it's required to be recording? I mean, you said that you put your
Yeah.
taser out, but what about normally?
Yeah, so anytime they're going to have contact with the public, they should be turning their camera on. Those interactions with the public are really what we're trying to capture. I don't really care what they're doing in the report writing room as far as from a policing perspective with the public, but I do care about the interactions that they have with the public. And the idea is to be able to build a little more transparency in our interactions.
Go ahead.
I think I know the answer, but just maybe for everyone's benefit, can you talk about the timing of when the camera actually starts recording versus when it actually turns off?
Yeah.
And you talked about the taser, so when you pull your taser, it turns on.
Yeah.
Is it, so I don't, maybe I'm thinking of an older camera, but does it also still turn on like if you activate your lights?
So yes, when I activate the lights in a police car, the Fleet 3 camera will activate. And that Fleet 3 camera will also turn on my body camera. And it will turn on anybody else's fleet camera or body camera that's within that Bluetooth range. As far as the camera itself that you're passing around, it's in ready mode with the green lights on. When it's in ready mode and it's ready to record, it is actually recording video. And it is recording video all the time. However, it is not always recording audio. When it records video, it loops itself at an interval. We currently have 30 seconds selected as our loop. And the reason is we'd like to capture video just before the camera came on. And the reason being, if I'm a deputy and I'm driving down the road and suddenly there's something that flashes and happens in the road immediately, I get out of the car and I have to start acting. And then I need to turn my camera on. I get the camera on and I've captured the previous 30 seconds of video without audio. And if you go to like the internet and go to YouTube, you'll see it all the time. If you view body camera footage, they'll say the first 60 seconds or the first 30 seconds is without audio. That's just telling us it's that looped video before the officer actually physically activated the camera or drew a taser or a sidearm. We're working to get signal sidearm operating within the sheriff's office so that if I pull my pistol out of its holster, it would turn on the cameras that it's in contact with.
So one more question. You mentioned within Bluetooth range, and so I guess my question is, we always talk about having the big earthquake and that kind of thing, or, comms is down. How would that impact your body cams?
So the body camera will be able to record several hours of footage, and we can actually download that footage to a laptop computer if we still have cell service. With Fleet 3, we purchased an option we purchased all the bells and whistles, let's just put it that way. We bought an option called Cradlepoint, and what it is it's basically like a wireless hotspot designed solely for that police vehicle. all of our cameras will Wi-Fi to that and will automatically download their video. So whenever the deputy's driving around in their car with Fleet 3 in the standby mode, their body camera is talking to it and will be downloading video.
Thank you. Any other questions? Captain Miller, thank you.
You bet.
Good luck with that program. We know from our perspective, it's going to do great things for the sheriff's office. So, but I still feel sorry for the public records.
So do I. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. And I guess that brings me to my comments next. So I want to echo comments that were made earlier about the concerts in the park. They have been so well attended. So thank you, Newcastle. You have done very well this summer. I look forward to tomorrow night. It's going to be a hot one. And also continuing our fun of the summer with Newcastle Days on September 9th. That will kick off at 10:30 is the parade. I want to thank Chief Kajihiro and his team and all of the residents who hosted National Night Out gatherings. What fun again. A lot of gatherings, very well attended, and always look forward to that night and sharing it with our police team. I want to extend a special thank you again to our Community Activities Commission, a volunteer group of 7, to Deb Polson, who has been filling in, organizing, and executing our summer events. Kate Langsdorf, who has been my right hand in getting me speaking points. And of course, our Public Works maintenance team. They have done amazing things. They've worked long hours in the park this summer, and we're almost to the finish line, everyone. So let's push a little bit harder. We'll get it done in September. I would also want to remind council, after hearing from a member of our audience, if you are interested in adding the business grants to a future council meeting, you can make that, you can ask that maybe we talk about that during the planning calendar. Okay, moving on. That brings up Chief Kajihiro for his second quarter crime statistic presentation. And I believe he has some special members in the audience joining him. Chief, welcome.
Okay, good evening. This is the second quarter crime stats. So you can go to the next slide. So this data comes from our sector program, and crime analysis unit gives us a report every month. So that's where that data came from. This is going through second quarter. So initially when I did my PowerPoint was only the second quarter, didn't include the whole year. So had to revamp it like a couple hours before this meeting. So this includes crimes that are reported in 3 categories: crimes against persons, crimes against property, and crimes against society. So the next slide is crimes against property, persons, and society. If you look from 2022, last year, we had 247 property crimes. So we had a drop down to 213. And then crimes against person last year was an increase from 22 to 30, and then it dropped down to 21 this year. And crimes against society, which is drug offense, like weapons violations, prostitution, last year was 3, and it went back to 1 this year. Next slide. So now this is specific crimes: assault, vehicle theft, and burglary. If you can see, assaults in 2021, it was 7, jumped up to 13, and it down to 11 this year through the second quarter. That includes domestic violence and other type of assaults. Then vehicle thefts, if you can see, went from 27 in 2022 and it jumped to 41. The first quarter, I think we had like 25 or so vehicle thefts. And then the rest was from the second quarter of this year. And then burglaries went from 7 in 2021 up to 29, and now it's down to 22 this quarter. Okay, so next one is larcenies. So first one is shoplifting. So last year, through the second quarter, we had 1. This year we had 7. The reason for that is I started the shoplift emphasis with Safeway, Bartels, and QFC. So they are forced to report it when we do that. So now we got, out of that, we had 5 arrests through that emphasis. 5 out of the 7 came from the emphasis. Auto parts, stolen auto parts last year was 34. This year, through the second quarter, is down to 18. Larcenies taken from auto was 53 for 2021 and 22. This year, it's down to 29. What happened to these cases? We got 28 arrests this year. Last year, this time, was 30. Okay. Next one is traffic collisions through the second quarter. Citations. This year, we gave 626 citations. Last year was 376. The reason for that huge gap is our traffic officer was out on injured, I believe, for several months. So we had a big jump on that. And then if you can look at the traffic collisions, both injury and just normal collisions, it went down from 35 to 23. And injury collisions is pretty much constant, 11 last year and 10 this year. Dispatch calls for service. Last year we had 1,122 dispatch calls for service. It dropped down this year to 943. And next one is the heat map. I included this just to show you where all the calls for service we've been getting. I think this is updated as of last week when I put it in the presentation. So the real red spots is where we get multiple calls in the same location. What it means to the police is when we see this, we can alter our patrols and make sure we can hit those areas a little bit more often when we're patrolling. Okay, some highlights. We did high visibility patrol emphasis in those red areas. We also organized and host regular meetings with organized retail theft managers, working with Safeway, Bartels, QFC. I know we don't have Fred Meyer, but we also include them, Walgreens, also Maple Valley PD, Covington, and Burien. So it's like a networking meeting. We share information, and just so everybody kind of working on the same page and they can see where, if one suspect is traveling somewhere else. We also joined the Washington State Organized Retail Crime Task Force and the Washington Organized Retail Crime Association, which is basically a partnership with retailers, prosecutors, and law enforcement. It's a larger scale networking group at this time. So we started that in the second quarter. Also, we did the Youth Academy. Detective Bertner and MPO Treadway served as squad leaders and instructors. It was held June 26th to 28th. It includes kids from Risden Middle School. This was hosted by Renton PD. So they learned things about law enforcement, police. They went through like mock scenarios and things like that. Next slide. I had breakfast with 2 elementary school students as part of their school PTA auction. So that was pretty cool. Next slide. We got Deputy Treadway, Jeffers, and Cross. They visited Hazelwood Elementary Schools for the spring fling and field day events. And next slide. Detective Bertner was selected for the King County Major Crimes Unit, so she'll be leaving soon. In her replacement, we selected Deputy Corey Martin. He has a wealth of experience from his previous department, being a detective, person and property crime detective. He had some narcotics detective experience, and also I think he was a traffic investigator also at his previous agency. So those dates are not determined yet. We're looking at October. And I think one of the last slides, we are offering crime prevention through environmental design. I just saw a typo. It's called SEPTEP. It's site surveys of the businesses and residential homes. So basically what we'll do is, actually Deputy Jeffers will do, is we'll go down there and survey the businesses and give crime prevention tips, and also residents. She had one actually today. So we'd be encouraging people to take that on. So we'll go to your residents of business, take pictures, say, hey, this is what we recommend. Cut these, trees up, trim it, cut the bushes, just basic crime prevention tips, and we'll provide a report of what they can do better. Next slide. Okay, this will transition into the next speakers. So we'll be partnering with Project Be Free for a one-year pilot. In a gist, and they can talk more about it, but upon our request, we can have trained crisis responders come to the scene of a domestic violence call to help the victims and even the suspects. So with that, I can turn it over to them. And then after that, we can open it for questions and for everybody.
Thank you, Chief.
Hello, my name is Katya Wojcik. I am the Executive Director and Co-Founder of Project Be Free.
I'm Joel Thomas. I'm also a co-founder, and I serve as the Community Outreach Manager for Project Be Free.
We're excited to be here. Thank you for having us. So Project Be Free is a domestic violence agency or organization that does advocacy alongside law enforcement. We just finished our one-year pilot with Renton Police Department, upon which now we are permanent with them. We're excited to be able to offer a new city a pilot and to offer new law enforcement the opportunity to be a part of our team in our community. Project Be Free really emphasizes the importance of team. The thing that we really like to acknowledge is that domestic violence is really a stressful situation for all parties involved. We know that police officers that show up on scene are human, and they don't always come equipped with mental health skills. So therefore, we feel like it is our duty as community to be able to provide them that resource. The other thing we like to be able to provide is our community members with a voice. Oftentimes when law enforcement show up, they could be scared to disclose certain situations or to speak to certain situations due to culture, religious beliefs, language barriers, etc. The list goes on. So it is our goal to be able to show up on scene and to stop and prevent hopefully future generations of violence. Our goal with our program is not only to be able to be on scene and to provide support to those community members that need it, but to be also able to wrap whole families, family structures, and seeing everybody in a household as a potential client, someone that needs services. And we like to be able to look at the youngest household member up to the oldest member to know that everyone is affected when domestic violence is in a household.
That was good.
Sorry. I don't know if you guys have any questions. Our goal here is to be able to start our pilot, hopefully, this next month. We're really excited just because the goal for Project Be Free is to have first responding MHPs within each city and to show that it's good to equip our law enforcement and also to be there for our communities. So we're excited for this to be our second chapter, I would say, especially since we've already had such a success in Renton.
Thank you. Councilmember Charbonneau.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Chief Kajihiro, and thank both of you. So I'm actually, I'm on the board for National Alliance on Mental Illness, and I'm a former crisis intervention trainer as well myself. So coming from a place of a lot of respect, I had a couple questions. I want to hear more about the program. I really appreciate you all putting in that work. So I guess I'm curious, what are the folks that are providing these services? Are they peer counselors? Are they what sort of certifications might they hold? And I was really curious too what the sort of the intake method is, right? I know a lot of times folks can be victims of recurring situations. Are you referred to them by police? Do you go show up somewhere in tandem with police? How do you offer those services, and what did the service look like? I guess I just want to know more about the industries. I nerd out about it a little bit, please.
As far as all our crisis responders, we're all licensed mental health counselors. So our background is either social work license, marriage and family therapist, or licensed mental health counselors. We feel like it's really important for somebody when they are outreached in the community, not only to be skilled in DV, but also in mental health, because we know that those things go hand in hand. It's important for our crisis responders to know both scopes. In addition to that, we are just transitioning right now into a phone triage system, especially now that we are piloting with more cities. Essentially, when people call into our service starting next week, people will be directed to either go to a line for non-emergent English speakers, non-emergent Spanish speakers, and more languages will be added. And then our third line is just for police calls for us to show up on scene. Right now in Renton, our duration to get on scene is 15 to 20 minutes, 24/7.
Deputy Mayor Sherlock.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Just getting into it a little bit more details. So you have your own line that people can call, but it sounds like also if people call the police, then they may be directed towards you. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Officers can call us themselves, or in some instances, there could be that a person doesn't want police to be involved in that process, so officers will just give them our phone number and they will follow up with at a later time.
Okay. And Chief, how is your team being trained, or what resources are they getting through this?
So basically, the training would be just information on what the services they provide. And when they go to a domestic violence call, they're going to offer the services to the people involved. And if they wish to have them come out, we'll call them, or we provide their information and they'll call them directly. So.
Yeah, Councilmember Lakota.
Thank you, everyone, for the presentation. I have a question for the chief. So overall, we're seeing like in some areas, crime has gone down. In some areas, it has gone up. But overall, we're seeing it has gone up from 2021, like 23 everywhere. In most of the areas, it's gone up. And I'm still trying to understand the reason for crimes going up. What is the reason? Why is it going up?
I have no idea. I'm not a psychic on that matter. It could be all sorts of factors, from the changes in laws to, I don't know. Could be from COVID, when those years everybody was hunkered down, and then now they got out and about, and they're doing things in the community again, you know? But, yeah, I can't answer that question, so.
Do you know if they're doing any kind of study to understand the root cause? I mean, because then it'll make it easier to solve the problem.
I'm not aware of any type of study.
Anything else? All right, Project Be Free team, thank you for being here. Chief, thank you. Great work. Stay safe out there. And we'll see you next quarter, if not before. All right, moving on. Council committees, economic development.
Thank you. Yes. So, first and foremost, the Community and Economic Development Committee has now moved our time from to now be the second Wednesday of each month at 3 p.m. in the front room. Everyone is welcome. Local business folks are welcome. What we covered in the last meeting was we talked about signs that we had covered sort of in our allocation of funding for signs for downtown and our downtown plan. Community Development Director Hoffman had done a really good job of bringing us examples. I had gone around hunting for a couple too and taken photos. And we looked through some, we picked a sort of design that we liked among the people that were there. Director Hoffman is going to come back to us in September with a further sort of mock-up of what it might look like in Newcastle based on the style that we picked, as well as opportunities for community design input. And we talked about different locations. We talked about 4 key locations being the intersection of Coal Creek and Newcastle Commons Drive. We talked about the Newcastle entrance to Coal Creek along the Renton area near where the bridge is. We talked about Golf Course Road and coming down from the golf course, the many folks that patronize the golf course, and then alerting them that there are services in Newcastle they can take advantage of. And then we talked about the Bellevue and Newcastle sort of area with the intersection on Coal Creek. Sorry, not the intersection, where Bellevue and Newcastle meet on Coal Creek. Those are areas that we talked about. If folks have ideas for other areas to put signage to direct folks to businesses, please let me know. I'm more than happy to hear that feedback. And then we delegated myself as the rep for the King County Climate Collaboration because they needed to designate a city council rep.
All right, Councilmember Villasenor, anything from Finance Committee?
Yes, so in the Finance Committee last month, Finance Director Chambers presented us a rework of the reporting that we're going to see from the Finance Department. In the first draft of it, it was much clearer and much more representative of, I believe, information that we can all take in very quickly and use. So we'll see more of that. There'll be, outside of Finance Committee, there will be additional reporting given to the council. So it's going to be a bit of a change. So we're looking forward to seeing that roll out here very soon.
All right, thank you. Any regional committees? Being August, everyone's probably taking a break. Okay, I know mine have. In your packet, you have a Community Activities Commission report. City Manager Pingle, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor Nguyen. Good evening, Council. Just a couple of things. Wanted to call the Council's attention to the reserve program proposal that Chief Kajihiro, we put it in a Friday update a couple weeks ago. Just want to call your attention to that. Please take a look. We would love any feedback moving forward. We definitely want to present that as a part of the budget moving forward, and so please take a look. I'm supportive of it. Working through it with Chief Kajihiro has been really good to understand kind of what that would look like. In previous cities where I've served, we've had a reserve program and they've been super valuable. I want to be clear that having a reserve program or having a reserve or two is not the same. It doesn't replace having full-time officers, but it provides a low-cost opportunity to enhance what our officers are able to do in the community. And so please take a look at that, and if you have feedback or comments, please provide them. Other than that, I just want to make sure I have the opportunity to state for the record, we are in budget season. We'll have our first major budget meeting will be September 5th. If you have budget ideas or thoughts or feedback or anything like that, please reach out to me or to any of our directors. We'd love to hear from you, but especially from the community. If you have things that you want us to consider, that'd be great. That's all I got.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Consent agenda. Is there any objection to approval of tonight's unanimous consent agenda as presented? Councilmember Clark.
Thank you. Please pull item 9.5. Thank you.
Okay. Item 9.5, Agenda Bill 2353, acceptance of the 2022 Pavement Management Program T11 slurry seal, now becomes item 11.1 under, I'm sorry, 12.1 under general business. Okay. Is there any objection to approval of tonight's unanimous consent agenda as amended? Seeing none, please show the amended consent agenda approved. Okay, we have no public hearings, we have no unfinished business, which brings us to our new item, 12.1, general business. The Agenda Bill 2353, acceptance of the 2022 Pavement Management Program T11 slurry seal. Councilmember Clark, you pulled this item for discussion. What would you like to say about it?
Thank you, Mayor. So totally coincidental that Councilmember Villasenor mentioned this earlier, but I'm not willing to pay any money to do little construction for such a crappy job that they did. I know we discussed this earlier about how we took 10% and we kept 10%, but in my opinion, we gave them too much money before we really realized how bad this was. So I did not want this on the consent agenda because I don't want to show my approval for this. So at this point, if the rest of you are fine with it, and I don't know, somebody wants to make a motion to accept this so I can vote no. That's about the gist of it. I'm just not going to give money to a company that did such a terrible, rotten job. That's my opinion.
Can I ask Director Bronze to address the legality of not accepting final project?
If we want to talk about the legality of that, I'd like to go into
I'm
executive
sorry.
session
I'm
and
so
discuss
sorry.
that.
Okay.
I can answer a different question. It's a procedural process by which the council accepting the project then starts a timeline by which all contractors performing a public works project have to put in a claim for materials, suppliers, things like that. Also for the state, sorry, there's a fly flying around. Also for the state agencies, labor, like if they've done their L&I insurance, things like that. So it's purely has no bearing on the project whether or not it's been, whether it's been a quality job or not has no merit in the project acceptance. It's purely a procedural standpoint. And in terms of, I'll answer your other question about, they've already been paid. And we have to pay them for work. So I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you. And, we can't edit the YouTube video with that fly swat. You're going to be famous now.
I probably wasn't on camera though, so.
Thank you, Councilmember Charbonneau, and thank you, City Attorney Chambers, for correcting me. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, without speaking to any specifics, I think I can conjecture that this would likely lead to legal trouble, and I simultaneously can conjecture that and respect my colleague's desire to show his disapproval, so I'm fine with moving forward to a vote.
Would you like to make a motion?
I move to accept the 2022 Pavement Management Project T-011 as complete.
All right, it's been moved by Councilmember Charbonneau, seconded by Councilmember Villaseñor to accept the 2022 Pavement Management Project T11 as complete. Councilmember Charbonneau, would you like to speak to your motion?
No.
Okay. Councilmember Villaseñor, anything to add?
I made my comments earlier about this, and so that stands. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Motion on the floor to accept the 2022 Pavement Management Project T11 as complete. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carries 4-3 with council members Griffin, Lakotia, and Clark dissenting. All right, moving on. Additional public comment. Do we have any additional comment over there? I'll trade you. Okay, and just a reminder that you are more than, we're more than happy to have public comment. It should not typically be on the same topic that you spoke about earlier. So Jason, I will call you up, and again, your name and neighborhood in which you reside, and you'll have 3 minutes and the buzzer will sound.
I wanted to have voice to reiterate all the things that could come up, all the conflicts that could come up going out and digging in the woods. I've actually started a business where I have all my lawnmower equipment, all my landscaping equipment, so I can come talk to the one person who updates the trails and keeps them clean, so I can try to set an example and take my kid out there. When I go to the creeks, with that picture that I gave you guys, I had Gary Ridgway's locker and a freshwater clam shell that I had found when I took my child to May Creek for the first time, to revisit how I used to play. And it was just as nice, it was just as serene, but it was not the same place. It was like a junkyard that just had a history of bodies taken from it. So I have Gary Ridgway's locker because I saw the boots. I saw those boots when they were brand new. They walked right past me about 5 feet away. 20 years later, they showed up in his locker. We need to make our trails clean of that. We need to take the families and show them exactly where the hillside was, where their daughters caught rigor mortis, and then et cetera, et cetera. That's important. That's the closure, not to mention all the other caveats that are going to come along with it. And you guys are going to see people out there trying to make bids to get involved. And you guys should jump ahead of that with the right authorities and preparation and acceptance, because when they clear a whole hillside and all those trails are merging and everything like that, you don't want bulldozers in there messing all that up. And it goes all the way from the ravine, all the way down from the lake, all the way up to Cold Creek, you guys. We're looking for 21 bodies. And I know where the first 4 were from. So maybe they can look for blouse pieces and strings and things like that. But the investigative part of it should be handed over. I've talked to everybody I can. I've narrowed it down to just creek safety, creek bed safety. You know, there's a lot of different things I have going through my head. But just for you guys to know is huge. I can roll over in the morning and think, okay, the responsible people know what the trails are supposed to look like. It's supposed to be an ecological dig, an archaeological dig down there, and we're supposed to stop everything. And I don't know what that looks like to people. It's hard. It takes 48 hours to even kind of get your body used to even accepting it. I have a story to tell, and it's going to take a long time to tell it. But it's gonna activate people that are interested to you guys regionally.
Okay, please wrap up.
Okay, yeah. I don't feel safe sending my kids to the general areas in school and things like that where kids are vulnerable.
Okay, and we need you to wrap up.
All right, knowing that the free zones aren't free. Thank you.
Okay. Carol. hand them to the city clerk and we can pass them down. Yeah, we can do that for you. Our city clerk needs one for the record.
Excuse me, Carol Simpson from the Vineyards. Earlier this evening, I did some percentage calculations really quickly, and they were wrong. I got moved in my math class in the year they were teaching percentages, so I've never known how to check percentages. So I always have to ask my husband because he's the math whiz, the real estate appraiser. Now, there's a lot of percentages in this document I just handed you, and I'm pretty sure they're correct because I did ask my husband how to do them, and I've been working on this since 2009. These figures go back to 2009. So take a look. Last November, I came up here and talked to you about whether or not you should increase property taxes for 2023. And I was conflicted until the last minute when I saw, and I was correct when I told you back in November, on the far right bottom in the pink, that all of downtown paid $152,467 less in property taxes to the city of Newcastle this year. Okay, but the city still is collecting $6,177,815, including the 2% increase. So where does the $152,000 come from? The rest of us. That's the way it works. Commercial real estate is sucking air. Bellevue, new buildings, how are they paying for them? The banks are worried about leases. Microsoft is pulling out of buildings. The property values of commercial buildings are not increasing the way single-family homes are increasing. Dashwood, the brand new 33 units in Newcastle, how much are they selling for? Nearly $2 million. Now, I thought it was pretty astounding when just a few years ago, Foxwoods was selling for $1.3 million. When that happens, what happens to the rest of our home values? Does all this new housing help housing prices go down? Does it help apartments go down? No, they all go up. They all go up. Even though, look at apartments. They went down 16% what they paid in property tax. In their increased value. They only went up 7%. So their taxes went down. Did they pass that along to their renters in a reduction in annual rent? No, they didn't. They raised rents. So here's some great data for you when thinking about what's going on and who's paying their fair share. One last comment. How do all these downtown properties pay their fair share? Why are we zoning them mixed use and commercial and retail? For retail sales tax. So how are you working with downtown to make sure that they're paying and collecting as much retail sales tax as they can to offset what we have to pay in property tax?
Thank you. All right. Planning calendar. Any further public comment? Anyone virtual? Dr. Bronze, any virtual?
No, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'll close the public comment. Moving on to planning calendar. City Manager Pingle.
Thank you, Mayor. Not a ton new as far as what we've been looking at over the last little bit for the September 5th meeting. Again, we'll have a budget study session, and that'll be focused on fund summaries and fund forecast for 2024. We'll have a presentation from Chief Kajihiro about license plate readers. And then we'll have a couple of, we'll have a bid award. We're hopeful that we'll be able to have the T-Bowl lease renewal for facility W7. We're still working on communicating with T-Mobile on that. So it's on there for now. Hopefully we'll be able to keep it there. And I'll take any questions.
Okay, any questions? Councilmember Clark?
What time does that study session start? Is that at 6 o'clock or is that before the meeting?
Yeah, I would imagine we can do 6 o'clock for that. I don't think we need to go earlier.
I'm just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think we've had that discussion, but I would say 6 o'clock.
Deputy Mayor Sherlock?
Thank you. I am actually interested in getting on the calendar discussing the pandemic relief grant program for the small businesses and nonprofits. I've brought this up to city manager in the past, so I'm absolutely wanting to have this discussion as soon as we can, whenever makes sense.
I agree with you. And I know we have a lot of budget discussions coming up. So, you know, we can look at the calendar when we meet and maybe target a date that would work best. Councilmember Charbonneau.
I was going to make a motion to that effect, but I think I think it's an important public discussion to have as opposed to just giving us updates in a weekly update. So I'll move to add a discussion item to our next council meeting about the disbursement of the remaining funds in the small business grant.
Actually, Deputy Mayor Sherlock and I have already, and we only need 2 people to ask that it be added to a future agenda. So we've already accomplished that. The planning calendar items are added to the planning calendar with just like 2 council members could email our city manager. We can do it right here. Two of us just did that. We don't need a motion to add anything, so it's redundant.
I was making a motion about the next meeting's agenda as opposed to the planning calendar.
But we don't know that we're ready to come with that information. We need to allow staff enough time to review and compile that information. So in all fairness.
I mean, I'm still allowed to make the motion. Can I hear staff's input on that, please?
I guess if we're looking down the road, my preference would be for September 19th because we don't already have a study session for that meeting. We could certainly be prepared for that meeting.
Can I amend my motion to be September 19th?
I really think that making a motion is redundant, and we don't need that because we do have this on our radar now on the planning calendar.
So, okay, I just hope it's publicly stated that the full expectation of everyone here then is for it to be on September 19th.
And our council policies don't line, they don't call out a specific meeting date. It's, I believe, within 3 meetings, 2 or 3 meetings. So if we can just go with that.
I was making a motion to make sure that it happened. Yeah, but if it doesn't get seconded, that's fine.
Okay, motion fails for lack of a second. All right. And if there are no other questions on the planning calendar, I will adjourn the meeting.